I've got to be honest with you right off the bat. When I saw the topic for today's deep dive, my first thought was, did I grab the wrong file?
Uh-huh.
We're talking about earth spirits, and, my brain immediately went to a very specific place. I'm thinking folklore, maybe some ghost hunters on
Oh,
TV.
for sure. It's a loaded term. You hear spirits, you're bracing yourself for a conversation about, I don't know, the supernatural,
Yeah,
a debate about whether ghosts are real.
exactly. I was getting ready to be the polite skeptic talking about fairies, but then I actually, opened the source material, and I have to say, this is not that. It's almost aggressively anti-supernatural.
And that's what makes this text so compelling.
Yeah.
It takes this concept that's usually like pushed to the fringes of mysticism, and
Mm.
it just rebuilds the whole thing from the ground up using psychology, neurobiology, sensory data.
It's a total reframe.
Okay.
So that's our mission today. We are going to unpack how this text redefines spirits, not as, ghosts floating in the woods, but as signals of relationship happening inside our own bodies.
And we have to talk about the tool it offers to get there, which is another one of those loaded words, self-hypnosis.
It's a lot, but I think we're basically moving from the metaphysical to the somatic, from belief to the felt reality of the body.
Exactly.
So let's start with the definition, because the text just throws a huge curveball right away. It says, connecting with earth spirits does not require a belief in external beings. So if they aren't beings, what are we even talking about?
The source calls them patterns of perception, or a phrase I really like, felt intelligence.
Felt intelligence.
Yeah. The idea is that our nervous system evolved in constant dialogue with the world around us. We were literally built to read the land. So what we've historically called a spirit is really just a moment where that biological dialogue becomes conscious.
So it's not that a ghost walks into the room, it's that your brain tunes into a frequency that was already playing.
Precisely. The text uses this phrase, signals of relationship. And that's the whole pivot point. A ghost is an object, it's separate, over there. But a signal of relationship, well, the spirit is the connection itself. It's the loop between you and the living world.
That just dissolves the whole observer-observed barrier. But I want to push on felt intelligence. Is that just a fancy word for intuition or something more?
It's deeper, it's somatic, it's in the body. The text argues our bodies are storing huge amounts of data that our conscious brain just filters out. A barometric pressure, temperature shifts, the density of the air. Felt intelligence is accessing that raw data.
Okay, but the text is also really clear about what this isn't. It says these are not voices giving you orders.
Yes, that's a critical safety rail.
Right.
If you're hearing a voice in your head telling you what to do, the source is adamant. That is not this. That's more likely your own psyche or, maybe a medical issue.
Okay, so if we aren't summoning anything and we're not hearing voices,
Mm-hmm.
how do we get to this felt intelligence? Because you can't just tell your brain to stop thinking. And this is where the text brings in self-hypnosis.
Right, and we really need to scrub that word clean of all its Hollywood baggage.
Yeah, the swinging pocket watches, losing control, clucking like a chicken on a stage.
The fear is loss of agency, that something else is going to take the wheel.
Mm.
But this text defines it as the complete opposite. It's not a loss of control. It is the intentional narrowing of focus. Think about being in a flow state. You're coding, you're painting. The world falls away, you're not out of control, you are hyper-focused.
So it's a physiological shift, not a magical one.
It's a shift from vigilance to receptivity. That's the core mechanism. We live in chronic vigilance. Emails, traffic, deadlines. Our nervous system is like a firewall, blocking all the subtle information so we can focus on survival.
That makes perfect sense. If I'm worried about my boss, I'm not going to notice the wind in the trees.
Exactly. The firewall is up. Self-hypnosis, in this context, is just the protocol for lowering that firewall. It's about signaling safety to your own brain.
Okay, let's get practical then. The text has a very specific protocol for this, and it's surprisingly physical. It's not, imagine a white light. It's more mechanical.
It is mechanical, a somatic hack. It starts with grounding, but with a very specific instruction, not imagination. You aren't visualizing roots, you're feeling the actual physical pressure of the floor on your feet.
Why is that distinction so important? Feeling the floor versus imagining roots.
Because imagination keeps you in your head. It's cognitive. Sensation brings you into your body. And the nervous system doesn't speak English, it speaks sensation.
Okay, so physical contact. What's next?
Slowing the breath, softening the muscles. Again, it's all signaling. If your breath is shallow and your stomach is tight, your brain thinks there's a predator nearby, the firewall stays up. You have to physically show your own body that it's safe.
And then the step that I've always found the hardest, dropping attention from the head into the torso.
That's the hurdle, isn't it? We live behind our eyes, like we're little pilots in our skulls. The text asks you to just let that awareness slide down, to feel the world from your gut or your chest.
Why does that matter so much?
Because the head is the command center for vigilance. The torso is the seat of the felt sense. When you drop your attention, you're basically unplugging from the analytical engine and plugging into the sensory one.
And when you do all that, ground, soften, drop, the firewall comes down.
And that is when the spirit appears, not as something flying in from outside, but as a flood of sensory information that was being blocked before. You become porous.
Which brings us to what I think is the most conceptually tricky part of this, the symbolic interface. Because the text admits you might do all this and suddenly see a stag or a face in a tree.
Right.
And my inner skeptic just screams, aha, hallucination, I knew it. But the text has a really elegant explanation for this.
It's the user interface idea. Think about your computer. You drag a file to a little folder icon. Is there a literal paper folder inside your microchips?
No, of course not. It's just code, ones and zeros.
Exactly. But you can't interact with raw code. It's too abstract. So the operating system creates a symbol, an icon, to help you interact with the complexity underneath.
So you're saying the stag is a desktop icon?
In a way, yes. The Earth is communicating in raw data pressure, pheromones, electromagnetic shifts, rhythms. Your conscious mind can't parse that. So your brain's storytelling engine formats all that messy data into a single coherent image, a symbol.
That's actually brilliant. So the stag isn't a spirit animal from the astral plane. The stag is your brain's best summary of how this specific patch of forest feels right now.
Perfectly put. It's an interface for felt intelligence. And this is where people get lost. They start worshiping the icon instead of reading the data it represents.
The text has a great line for this. It says, imagination is allowed but not obeyed.
That might be the most important sentence in the whole thing. You allow the image because it helps you tune in, but you don't take it literally. You stay with the feeling that generated the image, not the picture itself.
This also has to connect to that other term, dimensional channeling, which sounds very sci-fi.
But the definition is so grounded. It defines dimension, not as a different place like a parallel universe, but simply as depth. Channeling just means shifting the depth of your perception. You're not going somewhere else. You're sinking deeper into here.
So we're fully here, just zooming in.
High resolution, low noise, that's the goal.
But here's the snag, and this is the safety question. If I'm out there, I'm doing my breathing, I start seeing things or feeling things, how do I know it's real and not just me projecting my own anxiety onto the trees?
This is the litmus test. The text gives you a clear metric for validity. It has nothing to do with how cool the vision is. It's about regulation.
Regulation of the nervous system.
Yes, a genuine connection with the Earth system feels stable. It feels calm, steady, grounded.
And if it feels frantic or urgent?
Red flag. Total red flag. If there is urgency, drama, fear, or any sense of being commanded, the instruction is clear. Return attention to the body immediately.
Why is drama such a sign that it's just in your head?
Think about the source. The Earth itself. It operates on these vast, slow cycles. Geology, seasons, growth, decay. It's slow. It's heavy. It does not do drama. It doesn't do, hurry, you must save the world by Tuesday.
Laughs, right? That urgency sounds a lot more like human anxiety.
That's your own ego talking.
Yeah.
True connection, according to this text, never ever overrides your autonomy. It doesn't boss you around. If you feel panic, you're not listening to the Earth. You're listening to your own internal alarm system.
Oh, that's a huge relief. But it also changes what you expect to get from this. You know, people go to psychics or whatever because they want answers. Will I get the job?
And if you go to the Earth for that, you will be disappointed. The text is blunt. This is not prophecy.
So what do we get? If it's not the lottery numbers, what's the point?
The word the text uses is attunement.
Okay, what does that look like?
A sense of timing. Knowing when to act, when to wait. A feeling of fit or misfit about a choice. Or sometimes just a really clear bodily yes or no.
That bodily no is something I think everyone has felt. You walk into a room and your stomach just tightens. You don't know why, but your body is screaming, get out.
That's felt intelligence. Your body processed 1,000 tiny signals and gave you the summary. This practice is just about refining that so you can use it with the land too.
It says answers come as understanding, not instruction.
Right. It's the difference between someone yelling, wear a coat,
Yeah.
and you just stepping outside and knowing, oh, winter's here. It's a biological knowing that aligns you with the patterns of the world.
There's also this mindset shift the text demands. It feels like a critique of how we consume nature.
It absolutely is.
Right.
We treat the forest like a pharmacy. I'll hike for an hour, and in return, you will give me peace of mind. It's transactional.
The text says, the land is not there to serve, guide, or validate you. That's a bit of an ego check.
It reminds us we're small. We're just one part of a huge system. And the goal isn't contact like you're making a phone call, but participation.
Participation.
You're not watching the dance. You're already on the dance floor. This practice is just about realizing your feet are already moving to the music.
The spirits of the earth are not separate from you. They are the relationship between your nervous system and the living world. That line really stood out.
It changes everything. You're not reaching out, you're tuning in.
But the text gives one last crucial instruction. You can't stay in that state forever.
The return. This is vital. In a lot of traditions, the peak experience is the goal. But here, the text says integration matters more than the experience.
Meaning, it doesn't matter what you saw in the woods if you go back to the office and you're still a jerk.
Laughs are same. Basically, yes. If the insight can't be lived, it's incomplete. The real work is carrying that state of receptive calm back into the traffic jam with you.
Which is much harder.
Infinitely harder.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the test. Presence has to be portable.
So, to recap, we've come a long way from ghost stories.
A very long way. We've redefined spirits as the silence where the body meets the world. We've stripped away the entities and found the relationship.
And we learned the tool isn't magic. It's a physiological shift from vigilance to receptivity, using the body to tell the brain it's safe.
And those images we might see are just the brain's user interface for complex data. We should listen to the data, but not worship the icon.
And the ultimate proof is regulation. If it's not calm, it's not the earth speaking, it's you.
It's a framework that lets you be both rational and mystical at the same time.
It leaves me with a final thought, though. We spend so much energy trying to get somewhere else, some higher plane. But this suggests the real mystery is right here, just buried under our own noise.
It does. It poses a question, really.
Yeah.
If the spirit is just the rhythm of the world, what would you hear if you stopped waiting for a voice to speak?
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.
My pleasure.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.